Senator Corson, thank you for being here. Along with your time in the state Senate, you do have a background in commerce and trade. Where can Kansas improve on those fronts, and what would you bring to the table as governor?
Well, I appreciate you having me here. This is one of the most important issues. I think it's a unique skill set that I bring as governor that is critically important in a way that it never has been before. You alluded to it. I was chief of staff of the International Trade Administration at the U.S. Department of Commerce, one of the largest bureaus there, 2,200 employees, folks in 78 countries around the world. And we really need a governor who understands market access, who understands trade, who understands economic development. That's my background, because with ag being the largest sector of our state's economy, our farmers are hurting right now because of the tariffs. What I promised them is that I will personally, as governor, lead as many trade missions as it takes to open up the markets that they need to be able to sell what they produce. And we need a governor who understands what that looks like, and I have the skill set and background to do that effectively and to be an advocate for our ag economy.
You've said that modern challenges are facing Kansans today. Does that mean taking an approach where we step away from agriculture or accent it? What is your plan? What would you like to see in Kansas? Because so much is talking about big tech now and the way technology is going.
No, I think ag is the backbone of Kansas. It is the largest sector of our economy, and I want to keep it that way. What I want to do is grow the ag sector as governor. I want to help our farmers and our producers access the markets that they need. And we need somebody as governor with a background in international trade who understands markets, who can help them open the doors that these tariffs have closed, because right now we have too many folks who are producing crops and they don't have markets to sell them to. I'm going to work as governor every single day to pry those open. I will personally lead as many trade missions as our farmers need for us to open markets for our Kansas producers so they can thrive. I want to have a growing ag sector.
You talk about communication, right, and building bridges. You're a Democrat in the state legislature that is run supermajority by Republicans. How has that relationship worked for you in the Senate with that supermajority? And when have you been able to reach across the aisle and affect change for that matter? Because as governor, that's something you likely would have to do.
Yeah, well, I think it's one of the reasons that Governor Kelly has endorsed me and is supporting me in this race is I think she sees in me and us having worked together, somebody who can work across the aisle to bring Kansans together to move the state forward. In the state Senate, I've been a very effective state senator because I've been able to develop those relationships. I worked with the Republican chair of the Senate Transportation Committee to pass a significant worker safety bill to make our workers safer. I worked with one of the most conservative state senators in the Kansas Senate over multiple legislative sessions to pass a bill eliminating the state sales tax for our 100% disabled veterans to be able to thank them for their service. So I have a record of working across the aisle to build the kind of coalitions that we need if we're going to tackle the big challenges facing our state.
You mentioned the governor's endorsement. How much of your campaign is a promise to continue her agenda and her approach? How would a Corson administration be different?
Look, I think, one of the ways it will be different is I'll be the youngest Democratic governor in the country next year. I bring a new generation of leadership to the state of Kansas. I think Kansans are ready for a fresh generation of leadership that really understands the modern challenges facing Kansas families. Renee Duxler, who's my lieutenant governor, is also my age. She and I will be one of the youngest governor, lieutenant governor teams in the country. And I think it's really important that we have people in leadership that understand the challenges that families are facing today, which are the same ones my family's going through, whether it's the cost of childcare, repaying student loans, trying to buy your first house while you were still paying a mortgage and car payments. Those are all things that are personal to us. I'm a product of Kansas Public Schools. I now have a son in the same public school district that I went to. So we understand what Kansas families are facing in a way that is different from anybody else running. And I think that perspective is really important if we're going to tackle those challenges.
You mentioned many subjects that are under the umbrella of affordability, major issue right now. How would you work to improve the quality of life for Kansans, or at least get them to maintain their quality of life right now, with everything getting more expensive?
Absolutely. So I'm really proud of this. I'm the only Democratic candidate that's put forward a concrete plan of how we make Kansas more affordable. It is called My Working Families Agenda. And we released this in January, and it lays out the concrete steps that we need to take, because my goal as governor is to make Kansas the most affordable state in the country for families to have a middle-class quality of life. So specifically what some of that means is raising the minimum wage. It means eliminating taxes on tips and overtime so our hardest workers keep more money in their pockets. It means enacting a child tax credit for those young families so they can grapple with things like the cost of childcare and everything that comes with having a new family. It means lowering property taxes for everybody, freezing them for seniors, bringing back a tax rebate for renters, creating a $250 vehicle registration tax rebate. And it means long-term, we need to have a task force to come together to look at what other states are doing on property taxes and come up with a long-term durable solution that fixes this property tax issue once and for all.
You know, legislature tried to pass property tax reform. I mean, they tried to do it many years, but tried to do it this past session, vetoed by the governor. How would you have decided on that?
I would have vetoed that legislation as well. I didn't support it because I didn't think it really gets enough relief out to Kansas taxpayers. Here's what I want to do on property taxes. What I want to do is, number one, I want to cut property taxes across the board for every single homeowner. That legislation didn't do that. I want to freeze property taxes on our fixed income seniors so they can age in place and stay in their homes. I want to create a $250 vehicle registration tax credit for every single vehicle registered in the state of Kansas. And I want to bring the 1/3 of Kansans who are renters into our relief programs. I want to restore the rebate program that we had in place that Governor Brownback unfortunately got rid of. We need to provide them relief as well. And again, we also need to find a long-term solution. That's why we need a task force on property taxes to come up with a durable solution for Kansans.
Politics is objectively polarized as of late, but you could say in the last decade plus. How do you reach across the aisle if you make it through the general election and get moderate Republicans or people that might not typically vote Democrat?
Yeah, I think one of the reasons I'm a different candidate is not only do I represent a new generation of leadership, but I'm not a career politician. I think folks are tired of having career politicians in leadership. You know, you look at the other two tickets running, they've a combined 41 years in elected office. I've just started my second term in the Kansas Senate, so I think voters are hungry for a fresh perspective. The other thing that I bring that is unique is I will be the first governor in over 35 years who's actually lived in Western Kansas. I went to school at Garden City Community College on a baseball scholarship, and I was largely shaped into the person that I am today by my experience in Western Kansas. So I think having grown up in Eastern Kansas, having lived in Western Kansas, I can uniquely bring the state together, Democrat, Republican, unaffiliated voters, to move the state forward. Because what I always tell folks is my goal as governor is not to move the state to the left or to the right politically. My goal is to build consensus and move the state forward.
You were talking about your opponent's experience and your young age. Critics have said that maybe constitutes a lack of experience. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have the exact right experience that we need in a governor at this moment. I have the right background in economic development. We need to continue to drive forward and build on the progress that we've made under Governor Kelly and Lieutenant Governor Tolan in bringing in jobs and businesses into this state. Economic development is my background. We want to continue to push to bring in more jobs, more businesses into this industry and into this state. My lieutenant governor is the president and CEO of the Salina Area Chamber of Commerce. She's been focused on bringing jobs and businesses into central Kansas. My background is also in voting rights. We've seen voting rights under attack for the past decade. We need a governor who's going to stand up to voting rights. And we need a governor who can bring people together, and that's been my record in the Kansas Senate, is one of bringing people together to tackle these big issues.
You mentioned economic background. Do you support the Chiefs Stadium deal as it stands now? Is there more that you would like to see? Because at least one of your opponents has said that it wasn't a good deal.
Yeah, so Senator Holscher voted for the deal and now has switched her position and says that she doesn't support it anymore since she started running for governor, I think just for political reasons. But what my view on the Chiefs deal is, look, I know from my experience at the U.S. Department of Commerce that you need to hold people's feet to the fire. I know what these big economic development deals look like, and I am going to, as governor, hold the Chiefs to every single thing that they have agreed to. I will make sure that they live up to their promises on this deal. But look, when I, as governor, have a chance to bring in to Kansas 21,000 good-paying construction jobs into our state, that's 21,000 Kansas families who are going to be able to raise their families in a middle-class environment. When I have a chance to bring in 4,000 permanent jobs into Kansas, when I have a chance to bring in $1 billion a year in new economic activity into a vital part of our state, that is something that I'm going to support, but I'm going to do it with my eyes wide open. I'm going to hold the chief's feet to the fire.
You are the ranking minority member on the Senate Judiciary Committee. On August 4th, voters will decide if the state Supreme Court justices should be elected or if the current system should continue with them being appointed. Either way this shakes out as governor, how would you work to ensure the judicial branch is impartial?
You know, I think it comes down to, number one, I do not support the amendment that is being proposed in August. I think it will politicize our courts. I think it will lead to a wave of out-of-state money coming into our state that we don't need, and that will drown out the voices of Kansans. I think it is anti-rural because it will prevent us from having the rural voice on the court. So I'm completely opposed to the amendment. And I want to work as governor. The people that I would appoint to the court would be the best jurists, regardless of ideology, party. We want really the folks with the best legal minds, the best analytical ability, the best legal writing ability to provide fair and impartial justice for Kansans. And I think that's broadly what every Kansan wants.
And as you said, despite political party, right? Regardless of political party. If there's maybe a more right-leaning judge, but their accolades are good, that's a name you would consider?
Yeah, look, I mean, we're going to appoint people based on merit. And I think that's what our current system does. And that's why I'm a supporter of maintaining the current system, because we want justices chosen based on their qualifications, not their ideology, not their political party. I think by and large, we've had a court that has done a good job of rendering justice for Kansans, and I want to see that continue. So I would be looking at having the most qualified jurist on the state's highest court.
You share many similar stances with your opponent, so what sets you apart?
I think there's a couple of things. Number one is we need a new generation of leadership in this state. I'm a full generation younger than anybody else running for governor. We need leadership that truly understands the challenges that our Kansas families face today, as opposed to the challenges 20, 30 years ago. Number two, we need not career politicians. I don't think we're going to get the change we need from people who've been in office for decades. Number three, we need a governor who can bring together Eastern and Western Kansas. Because of my background of having grown up in Eastern Kansas, gone to school and living in Western Kansas, I can uniquely do that. Number four, we need somebody with the economic development experience to bring in the jobs and businesses that our state is going to need to keep young people here so they can thrive. And finally, I'm the only candidate that, whether it's property taxes, healthcare, or education, has actually laid out concrete plans for what I'm going to do on day one to deliver for Kansans.
All right, we'll leave it there for now. Senator Ethan Corson, thanks for your time.
Thank you.